Welcome to Five or Flop, a podcast for the best and worst historical fiction has to offer. I'm your host, Grace.
And I'm Erin, and each week we'll be reading a different historical fiction book to see if they're a five or a flop.
Our theme for season 5 is family and friends, and we have a repeat host this week. Returning from the Babel episode, we have Kat. Kat, would you like to tell the audience what we are reading this week?
Hello, hello. Yes, we are reading the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society.
Well done.
Woohoo! And Kat, you chose this book for us to read. Tell us why you picked it.
Well, so it is one of my few 5-star books. It is also perhaps the only historical fiction that I've read in the last 5 years. So, seemed like a good choice. And I just feel like it fits the vibe, you know? Like I said, it was a really good book for me. And I like a good epistolary novel, which is finally the first time I have learned that word. I feel like every other time we've talked about it, I've had to say, Grace, what's the... What is the thing for letters and diaries?
Well, I have in my notes here down at the bottom when we get into discussing the book, I love epistolary novels. So I'm very happy that you picked this.
And I'm happy you picked this because afterwards we get to watch the movie with Glenn Powell.
Yes, and Lily...
James?
I don't care about anyone else in the movie but Glenn Powell.
And Sybil from Downton Abbey, whose name I don't know. Apologies to her.
Have you guys seen it before?
No.
Okay,
No.
that'll be exciting.
Anyway, before we dive into the book, what's everyone been up to? Erin?
Yesterday I watched Confessions of a Shopaholic, which I had not seen in a very long time. Kind of horrifying if you think about it, because she really suffers from this very strong addiction, and we as the audience are just meant to laugh at it. But she's thousands of dollars in debt. It is implied her debt collector had her legs broken. And also Fred Armisen is in it, not as a comedic relief character.
That is a lot of things at once.
Yes.
Very thematic for our times. I feel like I know a lot of people who are in credit card debt.
Yeah, no, I would have to assume I do as well.
I didn't know Fred Armisen was a regular actor.
No, I've only seen him in comedic roles, so, I mean, and the movie wasn't that good, but he did as well as the other actors.
Okay.
Yeah, and those are based on books, right?
I've read the books.
I have not read the books.
I can't say if they hold up because it's been a long time, but I did enjoy them when I read them probably, at least 10 years ago.
Wow.
Okay, might have to check them out.
Yeah. So I recommend a Sophie Kinsella book.
What are y'all up to lately?
Kat?
Well, I'm going to see Taylor Tomlinson later this week.
The comedian?
Yes, and I have never really gone to see a comedian before. I did go to a stand-up competition once.
Competition?
Yeah, it was one of the first 5 dates I had with my boyfriend. That's right, Pod.
Wait, I hated that so much.
Is it the way I said it?
I think all of it in general. But were either of you competing?
No, so...
Wait, that would be so funny. I'm sorry. I wish the answer was yes.
I wish the answer was yes, and she had not told us beforehand.
Oh
yeah.
My god. Well, if you remember, before I started dating my boyfriend Kaz, I called him comedian.
I do remember that.
Mr. Comedy.
Mr. Comedy, because
Does he know that? Can we say it on the pod?
I have told him this.
Okay, good.
Because he's not the biggest texter, but he asked in our initial Hinge messages, like, do you like comedy?
Which is an insane thing to ask.
Yes? But we went to a stand-up show, and it was 10 different comics going up for like 5 minutes, which it got old. It was fun, it got old.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, lucky for him that worked on the right person, because my worst fear is having to go see stand-up comedy.
I bought us the tickets.
Oh!
Because I said he likes comedy.
Oh, so she was being considerate. Okay.
Yeah. It also is the place literally right next door to my apartment.
Oh!
So I got to be
not
like...
a hardship.
Yeah. I said, hey, do you want to come over? And he said yes. And I was like, great.
Not you being saucy on the podcast!
Kat, our mom listens. Kat, our mothers listen to this.
Well, yes. And then we can cut this out if needed. But we were making out in the alley. And one of the old guys...
Why would we not cut this out?
And one of the old, some random old guy was walking to the building and was like, get a room. And then I said, He said, we're about to.
So really, Kat did compete and she won the comedy competition.
I'm going to cut out that part and then save it in case you run for office one day and I need to blackmail you.
And Kat, you're so lucky Grace is editing this. I would have left it.
Oh my god. Well, I want the people to know that I fuck. Leave it in, Grace. Leave it in.
Do you remember the one time that a child listened to the podcast and commented on how great it was? You're besmirching the minds of the American children.
There's a 13-year-old who listens to this.
Okay, I want the people to know that I smooch. I smooch and I tell.
Okay.
Sorry, Cass.
It's getting funnier. This might stay in. Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, I feel like now that I can't even tell my story because it's not even going to be interesting. My mom came for the weekend and we saw the pandas. That's it.
But it was fun. And you guys went to a beautiful restaurant.
We did. We highly recommend Annabelle in DC. The recommendation came from Aaron and Santiago, so thank you.
Mostly Santiago. That was the first place. He took me there for my birthday, like the first year we were dating, so it was the first nice restaurant we went to.
So now I'm passing it forward. Cass, if you're listening to this, you should take Kat there, because it's close to your house, actually, so you can, go back and get a room.
It's close to the alley you made out in.
What kind of food is it?
Fancy.
American?
Fancy American. I had rockfish, which is God, I'm blanking on the name. What's the thing that killed Steve Irwin? Stingray.
Stingray.
Oh.
Not a crocodile.
I forgot. Sorry.
It's stingray, and it was very good. We also had baked Alaska, which was really fun because that's the one where they pour like rum on it. And then
when they light it on fire?
But the rum like didn't burn off all the way. I don't know. It was very powerful, but I liked the baked Alaska.
We had a pate, we had a risotto, we had a salad.
It sounds delightful.
Yeah, I don't think the food itself is like that fancy in terms of what it is.
Yes.
It's fancy in the preparation and presentation.
Yeah, and it's good. Like, it's very tasty.
Yeah. So, thumbs up to that, and thumbs up to seeing the pandas. In fact, actually, we saw the pandas the first day that the pandas were viewable again after the government shut down.
Oh.
My mom is a big panda fan, so when I was on the phone with her yesterday, I was like, oh my god, Grace's mom is visiting not the whole point of the trip, but like the whole point of the trip was to go see the pandas.
Yeah.
And then my mom's like, oh my god, no, what did they do? And I'm like, it was the first day they reopened. She was so happy for y'all.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Down to the wire. Well, your mom is coming soon to watch Flynn. I'll go see the pandas with her.
She is. She would go with you. That's what she told me. She's like, well, at least like the museums are going to be open again. So I can do that when I'm staying.
Yes. It's such a relief. Like, I have not been, obviously, to any museums during the government shutdown. And even though I love museums, it's not like I go every week. Like, they're always there. But now I feel like I need to go to one because I can, Like, it's been kept from me for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But
what's the word museum?
Oh, Planet
Word.
And that one was open during the shutdown. Because it could have gone.
Because that's not a Smithsonian.
That's a great museum, though.
Okay, adding it to my list.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is just a beautiful date weekend I now have planned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adding it all to my schedule.
Yeah, Planet Word is a good one. It's not like you're not going to be there all day either, which is good.
Yeah, you get a good couple hours, and they have a very good restaurant attached to it that I haven't been to, but I know is good.
Yes.
All right. Ladies, what have we been reading?
Well, I can't talk about what I'm reading to keep the air of mystery of which podcast book I'm reading at the moment. But at the time of recording, I'm preparing to go on my cruise for a week. So I'm trying to figure out what books to bring. We were talking about this a little beforehand. Grace recommended my girl Sophie Cousins and some of her romance books.
I just feel like you need like a light little fluffy book if you're doing anything that might involve laying by a pool.
Exactly. And
I am giving Erin a recommendation she doesn't want. Fantasy.
hate it.
Fantasy, but it's a really good, fun one. The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi.
Okay.
It was just fun and has a girl boss pirate as the lead, and I enjoyed it. I know you didn't have fun with the Lord of the Rings.
Well, Lord of the Rings didn't have pirates.
That is true.
And a benefit of that is you're going to be gone for like a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So it's beefy. It's chunky as a book.
That is good.
A Sophie Cousins book is quick to read.
Well, that's why I'm thinking, on the topic of Grace's mom, she did pick the longest book we will be thus far having read on the pod for her episode this season. I think I need to start it, and that is not a beachy poolside read.
Yeah. To Jen and to my brother, Nick, if you wonder why your long books were not selected from your options offered to us, it is Mom's fault.
Yes.
because we gave her precedence because she listens to all of the episodes and because she gave birth to me and I love her very much.
What's your mom's name?
Meredith.
Let's go, Meredith.
All right. Kat, what are you reading?
So I'm in a weird hodgepodge moment with my books. I'm reading The Picture of Dorian Gray officially. And then I was listening to an audiobook called Green Teeth, and I ran out of hours on Spotify.
That's a dangerous game to start an audiobook on Spotify because they cut you off.
Well, so this was also on me. Your hours reset not based on the new month, but your billing month. And so I picked this one because it was less than 12 hours or whatever. But I got like 40% of the way through and then it cut off. But it was really fun. It's about Jenny Greenteeth, which I guess is like
Is that a person?
It's like a mythical creature in England's lore.
Oh, I see.
So they're like women of the lake. They're very fun, and it's from her perspective.
Oh, I've seen, Erin is next to me Googling the book, and I have read like a positive review of this book before.
It is just very delightful, fun perspective. It's from Jenny Greenteeth's perspective.
Oh,
I guess they're all called Jenny Greenteeth.
First name Jenny, last name Greenteeth.
Exactly. But she befriends a witch, and it's just kind of like a delightful little experience.
All right.
Yeah, and then this is a reread, the Guernsey book, and I didn't quite get through it, so excited to talk about it.
Okay.
You, Grace?
I have finished something that is kind of a book, which is, Kat, you're aware of Dracula Daily.
Mm-hmm.
So much like the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, Dracula is an epistolary novel.
Mm-hmm.
So all of its letters and diary entries and whatnot are dated. So there's this newsletter, Dracula Daily. You sign up for it, and it sends you the dated sections on that date in real time.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the end of the year, it's from like May to November, you've read all of Dracula. But the interesting thing is it's not in the same order as it is in the book.
Oh.
So you can kind of see, if you're familiar with Dracula, reading it like straight through like normal, like the dramatic license in action of the way that things are arranged. So I'm very proud of it. Yes, I did mark it as read on Storygraph again because I did indeed read the whole thing. It just took me from May to November.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's really cool. I like that.
Well, all I can think of is the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society Daily when?
Exactly.
For real.
Okay, yeah, someone open up Substack right now. All right, speaking of, should I read us the synopsis?
Yes.
Let's get into it.
January 1946. London is emerging from the shadow of the Second World War, and writer Juliet Ashton is looking for her next book subject. Who could imagine that she would find it in a letter from a man she's never met, a native of the island of Guernsey, who has come across her name written inside a book by Charles Lamb. As Juliet and her new correspondent exchange letters, Juliet is drawn into the world of this man and his friends, and what a wonderfully eccentric world it is. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, born as a spur-of-the-moment alibi when its members were discovered breaking curfew by the Germans occupying their island, boasts a charming, funny, deeply human cast of characters, from pig farmers to phrenologists, literature lovers, all. Juliet begins a remarkable correspondence with the Society's members, learning about their island, their taste in books, and the impact the recent German occupation has had on their lives. Captivated by their stories, she sets sail for Guernsey, and what she finds will change her forever.
That's a bit long.
Compared to the length of the book itself, a little long.
Yes, but that's what happens.
That is
what happens.
So where do you get your synopsises?
Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, I'm looking at the back of the book. It's like 2 sentences.
Mm-hmm. No, we get them from Amazon every week just to make sure that they're like, we have a sense of uniformity to what
so that's
that's
adding. How some weeks were like, this has a really bad synopsis. Like there is a point of comparison. Also easy copy paste.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
And that's where like, a lot of people are getting their books.
Yeah.
So
very fair.
Can
I read this one just for reference?
Sure.
January 1946, writer Juliet Ashton receives a letter from a stranger, a founding member of the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. And so begins a remarkable tale of the island of Guernsey during the German occupation, and of a society as extraordinary as its name.
Much more succinct, and I still think very good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's a nice little bow for like 2 sentences.
It's a little vague, but not too bad for how short it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And especially the book is like 230 pages.
Yeah. Well, what is not going to be short this week is the author section, because actually this book has 2 co-authors, which we haven't discussed yet. So there's Mary Ann Shaffer and Annie Barrows. Mary Ann Shaffer and Annie Barrows are aunt and niece, and I will get into them one at a time. I'm going to start with Mary Ann, who is the primary author of this book. Mary Ann Shaffer was born in 1934 in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Little note, that's where my family's from. So, hey, shout out. And she moved out to California after getting married. She and her husband raised their children out there. She was a career librarian and also was a book editor for a time at Harper & Row. She started as a receptionist and worked her way up to editing. Her lifelong dream was to, quote, write a book that someone would like enough to publish.
Aww.
And she was in England on a research trip to research a biography, a totally different book. Ended up going to Guernsey just kind of on a whim, and that's what inspired the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. So the book was accepted by the publisher, but they had asked for some pretty extensive rewrites and changes. To what nature those were, I don't know. But by that time, Mary Ann started experiencing some health challenges and knew she wasn't going to be able to undertake the changes that the editors wanted. And so that's when she recruited her niece, who is also a writer, to make the changes for her. The book was published in the Netherlands during Mary Ann's lifetime, but unfortunately she passed away a few months before it was published in the United States in 2008. So I have in here a little copy-pasted section of Mary Ann Shaffer's obituary, just because I feel like it really gives you a sense of what kind of person she was, and it made me smile, so I'm going to read it for you all. Mary Ann will be best remembered for her Southern accent, her dark and sometimes fabulously inappropriate sense of humor, her endless capacity to make anyone feel they were the star of the show, and her gracious view of others' foibles. She would want it known that she was very excited about Obama's prospects in the upcoming election. This was 2008. She would also want it known that even as her memory failed in many aspects towards the end, she was always able to snarl that jackass Bush in response to the question, who is the president of the United States?
Icon.
Mary Ann's life was about writing, reading, and storytelling. She was a knockout librarian, could direct anyone in any direction to the book they wanted or needed, whether they knew it or not, had read just about everything in the English language, and had an opinion on all of it. So she sounds like a great lady who we would have loved to spend time with.
It sounds like she would have been perfect on the pod.
She would have been great on the pod.
Yeah, what a delightful, little wrap-up.
And there was more that I didn't paste in. And she had a lot of family around her, so I think she lived a lovely life. So now let's talk about her niece, Annie Barrows, who finished out the book. She was born in 1962 in San Anselmo, California. Her first job she got at age 12 was shelving books at the library, and they gave her the job because she wouldn't leave the library. She was just always there, so they were like, you might as well work, which is good for her. She started as an editor and then began writing instead after having a baby and getting her MFA. So we've seen that before of some women become writers because they want the flexibility, but also it seems like she was really honing her craft, getting her advanced degree, so good for her. She has 2 adult books. One of them is this. The other one is called The Truth According to Us. It was set in 1938 in West Virginia. But she is better known for her children's books. If you've seen Ivy and Bean, those books are hers.
Nope. I'm gonna look it up.
We're not at an age to really have children or nieces or whatever. I was familiar with Ivy and Bean, so I thought you guys might be.
I know what this looks like. Yeah, I've seen this before.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Upon visual inspection, we are all familiar with Ivy and Bean.
Yes.
So have we, I would say, read anything else by these authors, but this was Mary Ann Shaffer's only book. And I think the children's books that Annie Barrows writes kind of came after our time of being children.
I haven't read anything else, and I have not seen the movie yet.
Okay. I had read this book before, so it was not new to me, but it had been a few years.
Yeah, this was a reread for me as well, obviously.
Okay. Erin, do you want to give our disclaimer?
I would love to. Our judgments come based on the book and characters within the book rather than any real historical figures they may have been based on, and spoilers ahead.
Kat, do you have an idea of where you want us to start?
I don't know. I guess I just want to start overall thoughts. So I'll share a little bit about why, a little bit more maybe about why I chose this book. So we've we've heard a lot about World War II. Just like in general, you learn about it in class. You know, you've had books about this in every season. But I feel like what I really enjoyed about this book is that it just offers such a kind of interesting perspective on it that you don't hear. Like, I had never thought about the Channel Islands during World War II.
To be frank, not to be mean, I don't think about the Channel Islands that much.
Very fair.
Yeah.
But I feel like this was when I first read it, such an interesting slice for me of getting to know and love these characters.
A slice of pie. Slice
of
potato peel
disgusting
pie.
Potato peel pie. The characters, but also kind of learning and hearing the history. And I don't know. I really like the book. And so overall thoughts.
I agree with what you're saying there. I think just the World War II recovery period in general is not one we talk about I feel like we're saying it like every other episode. World War II is a saturated historical fiction market, not the recovery period.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think that setting it in 1946 is really smart. I think also we kind of said the same thing going back to when we read All the Light We Cannot See, which is this specific event was something that I didn't know about. And that's the same for the occupation of Guernsey. Like, I had no idea. They call this the only British occupation by the Nazis in World War II, which is true. And so that's a new angle on it that I appreciated because I did learn a lot reading this book.
Yeah, even then, so it's an epistolary novel. So it's a series of letters, and it starts with, what's his name? Dawsey writing to Juliet, who's our female main character. She's a writer. And it's her talking about how her, like, apartment was bombed and her experience coming out of the war, because she started writing like a column during the war. And it's like a book that brings all of them together. Flynn is being so cute right now.
She's the fourth host this week.
Yeah, but it's an interesting perspective because obviously what we learn about it in the US is very different than folks who did it. But they had like a fire brigade that the women would help with since they weren't in the war. And I don't know. It was just, I liked it a lot.
I thought the epistolary style for this was so good. It was, and there were a lot of characters in this book. I think it was easy to follow along. Like the bulk of the letters are sent between like the same couple people, which helps keep it contained. And every once in a while you get a letter from someone different. I liked it. I thought it was a really good format for this.
I agree, especially because the tone of this book, not uniformly, because obviously there are really serious topics that it touches on, but the tone, I would compare it to Lessons in Chemistry. It's pretty light and almost kind of whimsical at times. Like, there are definitely people that are there for comic relief. One or two of the members of the society are definitely funny. There's also the like random woman who lives on Guernsey who's really uptight and who hates the Pie Society and keeps writing to Juliet to be like, you should not associate with these tacky people. And she's hilarious. Like, it finds a lot of levity for a book that deals with World War II, and spoilers, has a central character in a way who dies in a concentration camp.
Yeah, I think after reading this book, I just found it so charming.
That's exactly what it is for me. That's why they put Glenn Powell in the movie.
Yes, exactly. Very charming. And it does deal with very intense topics like concentration camps. They have like forced labor on Guernsey.
And it's just like written in, I remember the first time it really jumped out to me that they like, that with the forced labor, there was another point where they talked about like all the animals being rounded up and euthanized because they couldn't feed the animals. They have just like bits about concentration camps. So every once in a while you're hit with like a gut punch paragraph.
I mean, even how the literary society started was they had to note whenever an animal died and have like the Nazis come and like mark it off. And they basically passed the same dead pig around to a couple people. But then they were able to have like a roast pig and have food for the first time in a while. And it brought people together. So I also thought that was an interesting way. And then, I mean, we like books. We like talking about books.
This is a literary society in a way.
In a way.
And there's also, right now, I feel like a lot of books about books. and
Yes.
people who like books.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the original girl, you know?
Absolutely.
And it was kind of fun because so Juliet asks everybody, she's basically writing an article about the literary society in the beginning. And so it's people just talking about books and what they like about books or didn't like about books. So I like that.
And it's funny because, like, there's a member who only reads romances. So she's reading, like, Jane Eyre and Jane Austen and things like that. There's one guy who reads Catullus, like, over and over and nothing else. And people are, like, begging him to read something else and he won't. There's a woman who only reads her own recipes and people hate her because they don't have any food. So they're just like, I cannot stand to hear about all of these, like, delicious recipes. It's like it's just such an interesting, like, and fun, kooky, like, group of people. And they can, for the most part, really keep up their joy, even though they're going through so much hardship. And that's because they love each other. I think now might be a good time to bring up kind of the linchpin character who we don't actually see, but we hear about, who is Elizabeth.
The founder of the society.
Exactly. So Elizabeth, she's never on screen, on the page, I guess. She is the one who is sent away to Ravensbrück, and the members of the society, and then Juliet later, are raising her child in her absence, hoping that she's going to come home. And then about halfway, 2/3 of the way through the book, you hear from another woman who was at Ravensbrück with her, who says that she saw Juliet, or who saw Elizabeth executed, and that she isn't coming home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she started the society. They were basically caught out after this beautiful meal that they had together after curfew, and she came up with, like, a quick on-the-spot lie to talk about this crazy name for a society. But and you learn so much about the other characters through their interactions with Elizabeth. So she ends up falling in love with essentially a Nazi doctor.
With a Nazi.
Basically.
Yeah.
So didn't
love that.
So I had complicated feelings about that, but we'll get to that.
I think we all kind of wrote about that in our notes. That was, like, it's hard because so many people were forced to be a part of the army, but they still did terrible things. And that doesn't excuse it just because you were forced to do things, right? Isn't that the whole thing of the Nuremberg trials?
Yeah. Well, we were just following orders, yeah.
Yes. And yeah.
But still committing evil, yeah.
And she falls in love with this doctor, has a child named Kit.
Like the American Girl doll.
Yes. Exactly.
And then is basically caught harboring, like a slave, basically. An enslaved forced laborer, who was, like, starving to death. They find it and she gets sent away, and yeah.
But you slowly learn about all of this because obviously it's written through mainly Juliet's letters. And Juliet is writing to the people in the society because she's considering writing an article and then later a book about the society and about Guernsey. And without even knowing Elizabeth or asking about Elizabeth, the people all have stories about her. There's an older man who is raising his grandson because his daughter died just as Guernsey was overtaken. And he said Elizabeth helped get him off of the island so that he could come back after the war was over and be safe. There is a woman who says, you know, I was going to be caught and taken in by the Nazis, and then Elizabeth covered for me. Like, there are all of these stories. And eventually, Juliet's publisher, who is a great character who I love, steps in and says, like, you're looking for the linchpin of your book, the thing to bring this all together, and it's Elizabeth. Which is part of what motivates them to extend a little bit more work and use her journalistic connections to find out what happened to Elizabeth, because at the beginning of the book, they're hoping that she comes home. And then they find out that she isn't going to come home.
And I actually thought that was really interesting. How they find out is that Remy, this woman that she'd been in the camp with, sends a letter, and it was like, to this person, or like, hoping you still live there. And she's just like, Elizabeth would talk about the society so much, and a few of you have, like, odd enough names that I hope if I send it to one of you, someone is going to get this.
Yeah.
So I really liked that, like, knowing that this society still brought Elizabeth comfort in a sense.
Mm-hmm. And Guernsey itself, this is one of those books where the setting really forms a character, because Elizabeth, her home was Guernsey and she made it a home, but Guernsey becomes Juliet's home as well. Like, she is clearly kind of uprooted and looking for something. She doesn't want to continue on with her war reporting. She had a failed engagement during the war. She was like, I nearly married a man that would have been so wrong for me, and I'm happy to have escaped that once. She doesn't have all of the things that she felt anchored to before. Like, her books are all gone. Her closest friend has married and moved to Scotland or something. And Guernsey ends up being the home that she was seeking, not only because she falls in love with Dawsey, who she's exchanging letters with, but because she falls in love with Kit, who's Elizabeth's daughter, and all of the other people in the society, and she finds her place there. Mm-hmm. And that's contrasted with the like slick city businessman played by Glenn Powell in the movie, who's trying to get her to marry him, and she essentially is like, it would be making the same mistake twice.
Which is so funny, because the entire time I was reading this, I was like, I thought Glenn Powell played Dawsey, but Dawsey is like, at the time, like when this would have come out, he's too old for Glenn Powell to play him.
Yeah.
But that's what I was envisioning Dawsey as the entire book. So
no, yeah. Glenn Powell's a city slicker.
He is a city slicker.
He's not a down-home Guernsey boy.
Except in Twisters.
That's true, but even then, like,
he's the slick one.
He was slick. He wasn't a city boy, but he was slick still. Dawsey is not, he's not quick with it. I love that man, but he's not quick with it.
He's a shy pig farmer.
Exactly.
Can I say something else about Dawsey? And then I have a broader thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So Remy, who sends the letter about Elizabeth, comes to the island to kind of recover, essentially. Mm-hmm. So Dawsey kind of takes her in, and it's just like being a good person and helping her. And Juliet's like, low-key so delusional at this point. She was like, this woman's taking my man. She needs to leave this island. And there's a point where later she's like, whoa there, that was not okay. Like, she is a survivor. She just needs community. Mm-hmm. But at the time, like, I laughed so hard. I'm like, that is so villainous of you, Juliet.
She sends a telegram to her publisher, who's a really good friend of hers, and is basically like, saw Dawsey and Remy holding hands. Will kill thyself. It's intense. But she has that moment, which I thought was really important. Mm-hmm. She has that moment of self-reflection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, I thought her going away is maybe what she needs, and I need to, like, take a step back. Mm-hmm. I do think it just goes to show how much it impacted people in so many different ways, though. But yeah, so halfway through the book, Juliet goes to Guernsey.
Mm-hmm. Yes, before she's just writing the letters, and then she goes herself, and she stays for the rest of the book and forever. Spoilers.
Yes, but they still write letters, so it's her writing letters to other people, or like the publisher contacting the people on the island, because basically, so Juliet's an orphan, and she finds family with this literary society. But then she has these really good friends. Her friend who moves up to Scotland, Sophie. Sydney, I think, is the name of
the publisher.
The publisher.
Who is Sophie's brother.
Who is Sophie's brother, and is like basically Juliet's brother at that point.
And while we're still on the topic of the jealousy, there is a lot of opportunity that Marianne and Annie took to put like jealousy into this book. I didn't hate it because it was not really like overwrought or taken too seriously. But obviously, Juliet comes to Guernsey and she falls in love with Dawsey, but she has Glenn Powell, the city slicker, trying to court her on the mainland. So there's a part where he comes to Guernsey, and I'm like, obviously Dawsey's going to be jealous of him because he's like rich and handsome and suave.
She was cockblocked by her own boyfriend.
Basically, yes. But then there's another part where Sydney, the publisher, comes to Guernsey, and Dawsey's jealous of him too, but they have to be like, he's gay. Like, he's gay. Don't worry. But no, all of the ladies on the island are like, oh my gosh, Juliet and Sydney are totally going to get married. But they're not. He's gay. Anyway, I just thought it was funny that she had like a suitor already in the book. And then they also were like, but she's also going to marry this other guy.
I will say I did not love this book. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine overall. Spoilers, this is a fine but fun for me. I had a good time reading it, but I just thought it was like the plot itself was I felt a little contrived for me, like a little mid. And then it's so funny you it's so funny, Grace, you mentioned Lessons in Chemistry earlier, because this was so similar. Not so similar. They're very different books, but so similar in a sense to me, because I remember saying Lessons in Chemistry wraps up too neatly with a little bow on top. And I thought that's what happened here as well.
It definitely did.
Juliet and Darcy get engaged. Like, they don't really have any resolved their communication issues and jealousy, and just everything wraps up so nicely that on one hand, I'm like, okay, I'm glad these characters, after having gone through such a horrendous period, now have like this all wrapped up nicely with a bow. But as a reader, I'm like, I couldn't quite buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes. So the book starts in January and they get engaged in September.
Oh God, I didn't even think to look at that. I had no idea.
We're talking Twilight level of timelines.
Okay, but also that's kind of slow considering that Markham had proposed to Juliet for like 4 straight months before that. So the timelines are just different for these people back then.
And they're a little older, too.
Yes. Juliet, I think, is 33.
I say that like
Ish.
old, which
I
is
don't know.
old at the time.
I mean, for the 1940s.
Exactly.
And what's that girl's name who is so up in arms? She's like, you're unwed, Juliet, and you want to adopt a child? Even.
I have no idea.
She's so funny. I have no
idea her name.
Yes, I don't know either, but I love her.
Yeah, and then, so the book does end with a comment from that lady. Let me find it. Okay. P.S. I ran into Adelaide Addison at the port today. By way of congratulation, she said, I hear you and that pig... Why am I giving her a country accent? She is British. I hear you and that pig farmer.
Wait, I don't know what accent this is either.
Okay. I hear you and that pig farmer are going to regularize your connection. Praise the Lord! Just to give you a sense.
Well, while we're talking about the end, Erin, I understand that things were wrapped up very neatly. I don't have a problem with it. So that's fine with me. I will say something else about the end that I loved, which is we see the end of the book, aka Dawsey and Juliet setting their miscommunications aside and getting engaged through the eyes of a character in the society named Isola. And she's wacky. She's like a witch type person. She's just voodoo. But because of another subplot that's not important enough for me to describe right now, Isola has decided she wants to pursue a career being like, well, then hold your tongue until I'm done, because I loved it. Being like a Miss Marple type. And she's like, I'm convinced that Dawsey is in love with Remy, who was the Ravensbrück survivor, and I'm going to find evidence to prove it. And so she goes and basically breaks into his house and looks through all his stuff, and he has all of this stuff that's like from Juliet. And so she goes to Juliet and is like, I guess I'm not a very good detective because I thought that he was in love with Remy, but he just has all of your stuff instead. And then Juliet realizes he's in love with me and then runs to him and is like, let's get married.
So you didn't like that? I
thought it was so cute.
So, okay, hang on. I think my comments have been misconstrued. I thought that miscommunication at the end was funny. I liked it. I hated the subplot that made her want to be a detective. Oh. I thought that was, and I don't even want to spend time on it. It was a very brief part of the book. I hated it. I thought it was so dumb.
That's fair.
Okay, well, now I feel like we need to describe it.
Better detective than headlump feeler, because that was a plot.
Yeah.
You like that?
No, I hated that too.
Okay. The whimsy, Erin, the whimsy. She can tell your fortune.
It was basically that someone on the island's grandmother had like a handwritten story from Oscar Wilde, and then a competing publisher came to try and steal it, and Isola saved the day.
Yes.
And I thought it was so
It was far-fetched, but it was whimsical to me.
I hate it. I'm like, why are we spending time on this now? Like,
yes.
I hated it.
Yeah, the Oscar Wilde letters was an interesting choice, I will say. What I also enjoyed was at the end. I liked the style of how it went. Basically, Isola, this character who has decided to be a detective, is given a notebook. And so the last 10 pages of the book are her notes.
The detective notes.
Her detective notes through like a week. And I just really enjoyed that switch. I don't know what you guys felt, but it's her through a whole week being like, nothing noteworthy today.
This is how I'd imagine Kat being as an investigative journalist.
It's very Frozen River.
It was funny. It just like, I hated that it pulled me out right at the end.
That's fair.
You know?
Yeah, Miss Taylor has a rash on her arms. What or who? From? Tomatoes or her husband?
I did think it was very funny, though. It was very funny.
Yeah.
But yes, and then she goes to Dazzy's house, trying to find something basically that she can tell Remy and have evidence for Remy that Dazzy loves her. And she goes over to Juliet's and is like, I'm such a bad detective. I tried to find something, from Remy that he kept, and no, he had photos of you and Kit, and
like a box under his bed.
Yeah, and you know that hair ribbon you thought you lost? No, it was used to tie up all of your letters from him. He had a scented handkerchief. Like,
this is what you had to do to Pine back in the day.
He's so not sentimental. He doesn't have anything for Remy. He just has like a little smudge of your lipstick.
Dossie and Anthony Bridgerton in a pining competition.
Oh,
who wins?
My God. Yeah, and then Juliet's just sitting there like,
Wait,
1 sec. Runs out. Runs to Dazzy.
Jonathan Bailey would eat this character up.
Oh, 1,000%. The entire time I was like, twisting my hair and kicking my little feet. Yes, and I love this book not because it's a perfect book. I feel like 5 stars for me are either it hit at the exact right time that I needed it, or it's a perfect book. This one, I would call it a perfect book. I objectively know it's kind of crazy. All right, they get engaged. She adopts Elizabeth's child. The Oscar Wilde letters are there. It wraps up like in the snap of a finger. I ate it up. All right. I had such a fun time reading this book. And you learn, and I think it's not just fun. I thought it was done pretty well.
I think it strikes a really delicate balance between the fun and the sad, and it does it well, in my opinion.
And you got to learn a lot about the different characters through the letters. I do think the epistolary is perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was a great format.
It was perfect format for this. So 5 stars. Spoilers, but 5 stars.
I wonder, and jumping back to the authors, you probably don't have the answer to this, Grace. Do you know what the major rewrites were?
I would love to know. I don't.
I wonder if it was to the epistolary side. This is just like with Agatha Christie.
Yeah. Oh my God, I know. That would have been a ton of work, so it would fit. But maybe, I don't know. I would love to know what they wanted.
Yeah.
There is an afterword. I have the physical book. I don't know if you guys read it on Kindle.
I think mine had that.
I will say there's also like questions at the end, and I did want to ask one for
you
guys. Yeah, so it's discussion questions.
So we can be a real literary society.
Yes. So at one point, Isola says, reading good books ruins you for enjoying bad ones. What do you guys think?
No,
absolutely not. Completely disagree. And we recorded a little out of order, but I have to use my example for it. In a couple episodes from now, you will hear me talk about the Match series by Ali Condi, which is horrible, and I'm having so much fun. So that alone is proof to me that, at least for my life, not true.
I think reading good books helps you tell what is a bad book. And I think nowadays also people read a lot of books and are like, oh, I don't expect it to be good. I'm just having fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's not true. I think that there are books that are bad, but there are books that are good, bad.
It's like Ugly Pretty.
And it varies person to person.
It's like Ugly Pretty on America's Next Top Model.
Yeah. What do you think, Kat?
Yeah. So overall, I agree. I have read books that I'm like, this is so poorly written, but I'm having so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
I have had books where I'm just like, this is bad. Like straight up bad, not fun bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think reading good books has made that decision for me. I also think it's maybe a little bit different being in like wartime 1940s versus nowadays where we have a lot more access to literature and these good bad books.
Well, I mean,
bad
if
books.
it's like back in the day, especially during war where it's not easy to access books and you're so excited to have a new one and it winds up being bad, even if it was good bad, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, well, so that's one of the things in the beginning of the book, too, is they don't have access to paper or wood or anything. So Dawsey first writes to Juliet because, he found a book with her name in it, and it was like, hey, can you help me get a Charles Lamb novel? I believe was the connection there. But yeah.
Well, and also in the Literary Society, they're reading, like, classics.
Mm-hmm.
They're not reading like 1940s like pulp books. They're not reading like stuff that hasn't stood the test of time. They're reading things that like you and I know about.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know Charles Lamb, but I knew, you know, obviously Catullus and Jane Austen and all those types of people, because that's what they're reading in the literary society for the most part, because they're limited to the personal library of the one lady who's like the rich lady in town.
Amelia.
If I were in this book club at the time, I would be the woman who only read recipes, and I would only read Tegan Gerard recipes.
Oh my gosh.
If we had to form the literary society based off of only Erin's books, as I sit here and look at them, we would all be reading The Click.
I have all of them sitting here, even the Clicktionary, even the prequel,
even the Clicktionary. All right. Do we have anything to wrap up with, or are we ready for a little bit of historical accuracy?
I'm ready.
I did have one little quote. I mean, this is just a quote that I had noted because I enjoyed the whole passage of it. It's a letter from Amelia to Juliet, and she's talking about the like forced labor. She's talking about how basically the Germans have done so much. They've cut down all the trees, they've done all this, but they can't take away the ocean. And she says, this summer, gorse will begin to grow around the fortifications, and by next year, perhaps vines will creep over them. I hope they are soon covered. For all I can look away, I will never be able to forget how they were made. And then later on, the next page over, she says something else. No flowers or vines can cover over such memories as these, can they?
Wow.
There's a good chance that ends up on our Instagram, Kat.
Oh,
Yeah, text that to Erin now.
Yeah. Like, the book is so crazy and so fun, but then it has, like, lines like that or stories like that. And anyway, I was just very charmed by this book.
Well, fitting Glenn Powell's in the movie then.
I know. Well, so who plays Dawsey?
I
Who
don't
plays
know.
our hot, quiet, shy?
We're going to find out in about half an hour from
Well,
now.
not to be mean to him. In the book, does it say that he's hot? I don't know that it does.
In my head.
In my head, he was Glenn Powell. So.
Okay, let us see. Michael Huseman?
Let me see. Do I know him? I think I know him.
I mean, he was in
I know
Barrows.
him. He would be a great pig farmer. Who's the gay publisher played by?
Let's see.
Yo, we were about to find out.
Now we're just on a
Matthew
fact-finding
Good.
mission. Oh, him!
I don't know. Grace, you know so many actors.
He's also from Downton Abbey, but he's the worst.
He was in Leap Year. He was in Stoker. Bram Stoker?
Of Dracula fame?
Oh my
Okay.
god.
Wait, did any of you ever see the Dracula on the boat movie that came out?
No, I wish.
Voyage of the last voyage of the Demeter or whatever?
Yeah.
No.
I want to watch
wish.
it.
I'll watch it with you. I'll get afraid, but I'll do it anyway.
Kit Connor is in it.
From Heartstopper?
Yeah, he
Who
plays
is he?
the son. He plays Eli.
The, 10-year-old?
Yeah. So, context. If
God.
we're keeping this in. One of the older folk in the literary society has a daughter who is best friends with Elizabeth. The daughter is pregnant and has a son named Eli. Eli is sent to the mainland. All the children are sent away, and then the daughter and the baby die in childbirth.
It's sad.
It's so sad. And that's Kit Connor.
Yeah.
He's the one who didn't die, famously.
He did not die.
All right. We need to segue before we just go down the rabbit hole, because we are going to watch this movie promptly.
We can do the IMDb rabbit hole later.
Exactly.
Oh.
Kat's still doing it.
You can say
Kat,
what you
put
need
your
to
phone
say. Say what you need to say.
Okay.
Say what you need to say.
So, the Channel Islands, of which Guernsey is part, are dependencies of Britain. I was very clear in the specific terminology that they used. But obviously the Channel Islands are famous for being closer to France than they are to England. So obviously I was in the past, England and France have not been best of friends. They fight over stuff. So I was how long have the Channel Islands been British? Since 1066.
Was that pre or post The Last Kingdom?
Post.
Okay.
Yes, post.
Sure.
Post. Because that was 600.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. No, post, because England is a unified England, which famously is what The Last Kingdom is about.
Exactly.
So there are two main Channel Islands, which are Jersey and Guernsey, and then a bunch of smaller ones. But the smaller ones are lumped under the jurisdictions of Jersey and Guernsey, respectively.
There's a Sophie Cousins book I read that takes place on Jersey.
Well, there you go. I did not know that. That's surprising to me. Is she British?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least all of her books have had British narrators. And I think that means she's British.
I'm sure it does. But Guernsey at the time had a roughly 40,000 population. And before, they had some forewarning that the Nazi occupation was going to happen. About 17,000 of them evacuated. And that was 80% of the island's children. So most of the children were sent to live with relatives or even just complete strangers in mainland England throughout the war. The Channel Islands and, obviously Guernsey were the only British territory to be occupied during the war by the Germans. They were so for 5 years, from 1940 to 1945. The islands were kind of in this impossible position where they were not strategically important or significant at all. Like, there was nothing geographically about them that would make them be important. And so Britain just didn't want to spend the money defending them or stationing military there. So they didn't. They withdrew. And they announced that they were going to demilitarize the Channel Islands. But even though they were not important, Germany felt like it was good representatively to have a piece of Great Britain occupied. And so they came in pretty immediately after that. And they overly invested in the islands, like way more than they were worth. Like those quotes that you read, they were building like concrete, like guarding structures and all that. Don't ask me about specifics because I'm not a military person. But they were doing much more than the situation warranted. But about 2,500 of the Channel Islanders were deported to German internment camps and prisons. Elizabeth is like that, but also, as depicted in the book, they brought slave labor onto the islands to build the fortifications that the military was building onto Guernsey. And these things apply for Guernsey and Jersey and more of the other islands. It was different island to island. There was another one where basically 100% of the population was evacuated, so it was just completely overrun. There were different situations for different islands of different size, but I'm mostly talking about Guernsey, obviously. So 1944 to 1945 was the tough year because from 1940 to 1944, there was obviously, as in the book, a shortage of food, and the Nazis were really cracking down on where you could kill and eat your own animals, like what you could grow, things like that. There just was not the same marketplace available. But in 1940, the British blockaded the ports, so the Nazis were not able to bring anything else in. So not only the population of Guernsey, but also the Nazis were kind of starving during that time. They call that winter, like the hard winter. And eventually, enough negotiations were put in place that the Red Cross was allowed to bring in aid. And that was depicted in the book as well, the aid coming in from the Red Cross. So during the time of the book, in 1946, things are better, but they're still coming out of it. They're still recovering from not having plentiful food on Guernsey during that time. So in 1945, the occupation ended as the war was ending. And that's that. The children came back to Guernsey. There's a museum on Guernsey that discusses a lot of this. So I would recommend, I guess I would say going, although not that many people could just pick up and go to Guernsey. But, you could pop onto the website for the Guernsey Island Museum.
I don't know. That might be part of my bucket list now. I feel like
go to the Guernsey Museum?
Just to go to Guernsey.
Well, I think it's also lovely. I think it's beautiful.
I mean,
it has mountains. It has, or not mountains. It has forests. It has beaches.
Yeah, part of the Channel Islands. I feel like, and I've only gone abroad once when I was a child.
You're right by Normandy. I know a lot of people want to go to Normandy.
Yeah,
make a trip out of it.
That all sounds like it seems like the book was fairly accurate.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, and I know. It was interesting too. So not all of the children were evacuated because I know
some people kept their children.
Yeah, and part of the book was mothers being like, what's safe? What can we do?
Well, because you have such little advance notice that you have to decide what's going to be better. And then obviously there were parts of England being bombed, and you don't know what's going to become of that. It's a tough decision.
Well, yeah, and if they occupy the islands, what's to say they won't occupy England and then your child
isn't with you.
But yeah, I know there was one line that I thought was really impactful, which is a 12-year-old who stayed on Guernsey
was like the size of a 7-year-old because of lack of nutrition. Yeah, and then even Dawsey would like haul up salt water, like seawater, so they would cook their food in seawater, so it had some semblance of taste, and all those little details I thought were really interesting.
Yeah. All right, that's all I have.
Star calculator.
Let's
Star calculator. Mine's
right.
easy. I can start.
Okay. Well, hang on. Let me give our categories.
All right,
Historical
all right.
accuracy, originality, characters, prose, and vibes. I think I know what you're doing since you said it's easy.
I'm a 5.
Straight
I'm a
fives?
5.
All right. And that is an average of 5.
Wow.
Love that. All right. Cool. Grace.
Me too.
Damn.
It's straight 5s. I love this book. And it's a 5 from me and Kat.
Wow. Okay. Well, I need to do some thinking.
So now Erin is going to have her hater time.
Historical accuracy, I'll go 5. Originality, I'll go 4.
You can go low if you want. We won't be mean to you.
I didn't think we needed all the characters. 3. I'm going to go 3 for prose, and I'm going to go 3 for 5. And that's a 3.6, which is about what I gave it. It was fine, but it was fun. So
there you go.
That's great for me.
There you go.
Anyways, Kat, now hit us with your story.
Yeah. So
wait, also, does it say in Storygraph what date you wrote the review? Because I feel like that's helpful information.
Yes. So I have pulled up the journal, reading journal. I started it on December 7th, 2023. One of the first books I ever did in Storygraph.
Back when we still lived together, Kat?
Yeah. And I finished it December 8th, 2023. Basically a day, and I gave it 5 stars.
This is like a day read. It's quick.
Oh, yeah.
It's quick. It's in all caps. Tried to give it a 5.75 out of 5. It's that good.
Oh,
Everything was amazing. The various points of view, the stories, both heart-wrenching and heartwarming ones, the characters, the love story. Oh, yeah.
I love Storygraph. I love the reading journal feature. It's such
I've
a
never
wonderful
used that.
app.
It is fun. Well, yeah, so I like being accurate. For Storygraph, every month you can download like your calendar from the previous month, and it shows how many pages you read each day. Or if you had like a continuous streak, if you read every day.
See,
so I update.
Mm-hmm. I don't do pages.
I don't think I would have the dedication to do pages.
I just do start and stop. My calendar looks a little jank because of it, unfortunately, but I'm not going to put pages.
Oh, it's all good. I don't always do it either, but I do like seeing the bar go up of the different like percentages throughout the thing. So yeah, I love this book.
All right. Well, we have at least unanimous agreement that it's a fun book.
Oh yeah, I would definitely recommend. I'm going to recommend this to my mom. She would really like this.
Oh, 100%.
I'm glad I got to read it. Kat, thank you so much for suggesting this for us. I thought this was very different than a lot of ones we usually read.
Yeah, I mean, I had to. I feel like it was so perfect for the format. And if Pam would like my copy, let me know.
I mean, if you want to leave it here, she's going to be here for 2 weeks, so.
There we go.
All right. So next week, we're reading something that I would also call a little different, but I would not call fun. We are reading Silence by Shusaku Endo, recommended by my brother, Nick, and he'll be on the pod next week.
And I will also call it epistolary. At least for like half of it, it's epistolary-ish.
It's mostly epistolary.
Yeah.
You're right now that I think about it.
All right, so 2 back-to-back.
In the meantime, please follow us on our social media. Our Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok are all fiberflop_pod. And you can join the Storygraph Reading Challenge to populate this book in your reading journal, just like Kat.
If you want to be like Kat,
Who
sign up. Who wouldn't want to be like Kat?
Thank you.
Kat, who is a member of our Season 5 Reading Challenge, I believe.
Yes, I have read a whole one.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
The
Me
journey of
too.
1,000 miles starts with a single step.
Snaps to that. Sorry, I was trying to figure out if I had. Where can you find your reading challenges?
On the
They
reading challenge
yeah,
tab.
they updated
Okay,
it, and I prefer
okay.
the new app
2.
format. What
What's
else
the
is
other
there?
one?
Let us see.
If it's one that comes after, you can't say what it is.
Gwen and Art are not in love.
No, wrong season.
That's 4. That's season 4. You're not a member.
I've never been so betrayed.
Wait, Kat,
But I
no,
read The Color Purple.
that's good. That's good news. If you go join it right now, that'll take us from 7 members to 8.
How do I find it?
We'll help you after we finish.
Okay.
But make sure, A, you're following along to our Storygraph Reading Challenge. If you want to be better than Kat, actually. You can also check out that recommendation form in the bio of any of our social media accounts in case you have something to recommend we should read.
Just like Kat does. She fills out the recommendation form.
No one else for this season did.
That's gonna count for something, guys!
Or you can shoot us an email, fiveorflopodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, Kat, want to sign us off?
Happy reading!
Bye!